We welcome you to college basketball on the Atlantic 10 on ESPN. It's the 2022-23 Media Day from Brooklyn, New York, and the Barclays Center. The road to the Atlantic 10 championship starts and ends here. Great to have you with us here today, everyone. Mike Corey from ESPN, excited to join you for the next 3 hours. We'll talk to all 15 Atlantic 10 coaches. We'll catch up with the commissioner of the conference, Bernadette McGlade. We have a couple special guests joining us as well. But let's get right into it. Let's begin with the 2022-23 preseason poll. Teams 6 through 15, Matt McKillop at Davidson takes over for his father, Bob McKillop, after 14 years as the assistant. Richmond, the defending A-10 champions for Chris Mooney, now in his 18th season. UMass brings in Frank Martin, previously at South Carolina, where he took them to the 2017 Final Four. URI brings back a familiar coach in A-10, and Archie Miller, former Dayton head coach, now with the Rams. Mark Schmidt and the Bonnies went to the NIT semifinals last year. His 16th season is coming up. Fordham, Keith Ergo takes over there after last year as the assistant. GW, new head coach as well. Chris Caputo knows the league, former assistant at George Mason. St. Joe's got Billy Lang in his 4th season with the Hawks. LaSalle brings in the legendary Fran Dunphy, who now leads his alma mater. And Duquesne and Keith Dambrot back for his 6th season with the Dukes. On to number 5. George Mason, the Patriots, they finished last year 9th. Don't be fooled by that. They were a tough out all year, no matter who and where they played. They lost 7 games by 1 possession, 2 in overtime, and they've got a young and talented head coach in Kim English, who brings back a veteran group with experience, and they should be challenging for one of the top spots in the A-10. Newcomer to the league, not to the nation, Loyola Chicago. Final Four in 2018, Sweet 16 in 2021. They have the youngest coach in the nation in Drew Valentine, who disproved any notion he wasn't ready, as they won 25 games last year in his first season, a program record for the Ramblers' first-year head coach, and they went to the NCAA tournament. The 31-year-old and his squad are the preseason number 14. VCU checking in at number 3. They finished 2nd in the league each of the last 2 seasons. They're always right there in the mix as Mike Rhodes is back for his 6th season. They've got a very deep and talented roster. It's one of the toughest places to play in the conference, and they made the postseason in 15 of the last 17 contested tournaments with 11 NCAA appearances. Number 2, St. Louis. Travis Ford and his staff entering their 7th year. They know they're going to be one of the teams to beat. They finished 5th last year, and that was with a host of injuries and without all-conference player Javante Perkins for the entire season, who is now back and ready to go. One of the most experienced teams in the league. They've added some talented newcomers and will have some of the most depth of any team in the conference. And the preseason number 1 team in the A-10, the Dayton Flyers. They finished 2nd in the regular season last year, 1 game back. They've got all 5 starters returning from last year's team, which had 2 all-conference selections, the Rookie of the Year and the 6th Man of the Year. One of the best atmospheres and fan bases in college basketball is going to help former Flyer Anthony Grant, who is now in his 6th season, and he has the favorite for the 2022-23 season. That's a look at the preseason poll this year for the Atlantic 10. Now let's take a look at the preseason all-conference teams, and we'll start with the all-conference first team. Deron Holmes from Dayton, the Rookie of the Year last year, now on the preseason first team. The highest-rated recruit Dayton ever had, and he didn't disappoint. League best 65% shooting from the field. He plays both ends of the floor, and he was also in the all-defensive team last year as well. Josh Oduro, primed to lead George Mason this year again after leading the league in scoring a year ago, 17.7 points a game. He was also 8th in rebounding and 8th in field goal percentage. Solid shot blocker for the Patriots as well. He was 6th in block shots per game. He was a first-team selection last year and is a preseason all-conference first-team selection this year as well for the George Mason Patriots. What an addition Davidson made last year with the Michigan State transfer Foster Loyer, an excited and talented guard who hit game-winning shots. He was 2nd best in three-point percentage and led the league at the free throw line as well with 94% and the 2nd most free throws made. He was a 2nd-team selection last year. Now he's on the preseason first team this year. Tyler Burton is one of the most athletic players in the Atlantic 10. He comes back for the Richmond Spiders after being named to the 2nd team a year ago. He was 7th in scoring, 6th in rebounding, the star for the Spiders. He hit a league best 163 free throws. Yuri Collins, all he did a year ago is lead the nation in assists with 267 total, 7.9 per game. He also had 65 total steals. The floor general, the leader for the St. Louis Billikens. He was a first-team selection a year ago, and no doubt is a preseason first-teamer this year as well. Also on the all-defensive team last year for St. Louis. And Ace Baldwin Jr. for VCU, 4th in the league in assists last year, 2nd in steals. He was also 7th best in three-point shooting percentage. He runs the show for the Rams. He was a second-team selection a year ago and now is on the list to round out the preseason first team in the Atlantic 10 for the upcoming 2022-23 season. On to the all-conference second team, Toumani Camara. 3rd team last year, 2nd team preseason this year. Malachi Smith, his teammate, was on the all-rookie team, joins him. James Bishop, 2nd leading scorer last year. Noah Fernandez checks in, the senior guard from UMass. Gibson Giberson was the 3rd leading scorer last year in the league on the all-academic team as well. And Perkins, who missed all of last year with an injury, was a 2nd teamer the previous season when he played. 3rd team all-conference selections, Darius Quisenberry, Braden Norris are the newcomer in Loyola Chicago. Brayon Freeman and Eric Reynolds are both on the all-rookie team last year. And then you got Francis Okoro with that talented St. Louis squad, and Jaden Nunn was an all-rookie selection a year ago. He checks in on the 3rd team. The all-defensive team, Holmes was on it last year. He was 4th in blocks. Smith joins him as well, as he was 5th in steals a year ago. Collins at all-defensive selection last year, returns to the preseason this year. Okoro, 2nd in rebounding, and Ace Baldwin Jr. rounds out the list for the all-defensive team in the Atlantic 10. So there's the preseason poll and your all-conference teams here from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. When we return after this, we will talk to the commissioner of the Atlantic 10, Bernadette McGlade. She joins us next, right after this.